Hi everyone, today's video is going to be a first impressions of these Nanshy brushes that I bought. So Nanshy brushes are 100% vegan and cruelty free and they are so soft, they feel like a kitten. I'm going to do this full face using all of the brushes and give you my thoughts on each individual one. So I'm going to start off with eyes and I'm using the shader brush. Just going to use the pale pink from the Charlotte Tilbury palette. I feel like that's gone on okay. I'm going to come back to this one later because I'll probably use it like on the centre of the lid. So now I'm going to use the crease brush. Bristles on most of the brushes are quite firm, so they don't move around a lot, which I quite like because you get a lot of control. So I'm going to be using the Naked palette for the rest of my eye makeup. I've not used this in ages. I've got a mixture of Naked and Book. I really like this brush. I can already tell it's going exactly where I want it to, probably because it's so firm. I'm actually going to take some of the Naked underneath as well. Even though it's synthetic brushes typically pick up much less product, but that is just put the product exactly where I wanted it to. So now I'm going to use the blending brush and I've actually already got this, so I already know that I really like this. It's very similar to the Real Techniques base shadow brush, except it's a little bit denser. Yeah, it does work well for blending. So I've got Smog from the Naked palette on this crease brush again, and I'm pushing this into the outer corner. And then I'm going to go back into Book and go back through the crease and then back to the blending brush. Now I've got some Dark Horse. The fact that the brush is picking up so much product and applying it smooth is impressing me, especially considering they're synthetic. Because generally eye brushes, people tend to prefer real hair because they pick up more colour, but I obviously really don't want to buy real hair brushes anymore, which is why I loved this set. So now I've got the pencil brush and you can see the pencil brush is really pointy, like an actual pencil. Some pencil brushes are stubby but very fluffy, and again this one feels really firm. I feel like this would be really good as well to smudge out liners. So I'm going back with the shader brush into the highlight shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette because I want a really stark shimmer on my lid that's quite contrasting. To be honest, I feel like this one is my least favourite so far. I really like the other three, but this just isn't picking up enough colour for me. It's not packing on enough colour. I feel like I'm having to go over a lot. So not hugely impressed with the flat shader brush. Like, that highlight is popping and you can barely see it on my eyelid, so not really happy about that. So now I'm going to do some gel liner across the top of my lid and I'm going to use the liner brush. This isn't my typical liner brush. I know a lot of people use these fine point brushes for liner. I always use angled brushes generally. Other brushes in the past, when I've washed them, they've splayed too much and they just move around way too much. So this one seems okay so far, we'll see. The question is though, are we going to brave a wing? I feel like for the purposes of the review I should. Okay, so just had a slight meltdown, but it's okay. I like the precision of the brush, but I feel like if you don't get it right in your first swipe, it's really tricky to mend. Once the brush is kind of got the product on and it's starting to dry and it's just loaded with the stuff, it's really tricky to fiddle with your wings and like fiddle with the shape and thin them out or thicken them up. Because I went a bit thicker than I would have liked here, I'm just going over that. Now I'm tight lining with that liner brush, and I do really like these brushes for tight lining. So they're definitely a good brush to have in your collection. So now I'm going to apply my foundation with the foundation brush, and this is the NARS All Day Luminous. This foundation is a bit fiddly when it comes to brushes. I feel like I'm very picky with brushes for this, so this could go terribly wrong. So I'm going to press it in my skin and then switch to the stippling brush, which is a very fluffy brush, so this moves around a lot. I generally don't love these brushes, so we'll see what I think. Probably shouldn't have experimented with this one, but this is my event foundation and I am going out tonight, so I want my skin to look really good. I'm not a huge fan of stippling brushes in general. It's just a personal preference. Some people love them, so I'm not going to carry on my face with the stippling brush just because it's not my kind of brush. I'm going to grab my buffing brush from Real Techniques. Although the flat foundation brush has done a really good job. You can see how much more coverage I've got because the stippling brush just moves product around a bit too much for me. I just don't love the finish it gives. Some people do because it gives a really natural look, because it doesn't allow products to really be packed on for a lot of coverage, but I kind of want and need that for this look, so probably not the best brush to use anyway. This brush, I really like the shape. Really nice for going around the edges of the face, so you can see, like, you can get it like right around your eyebrow, for example. I think it could be a tiny bit bigger. This is just a tiny bit too small for me, so perhaps they have other foundation brushes in their range. I will definitely look into those. Just applying a bit of concealer. You could use the eye brushes for concealer. The blending brush would be good, but obviously I've used the whole set. Just going to use a bit of loose powder and the powder brush. I know this is going to be one of my favourites because it feels so soft but really dense, and I love a good dense powder brush because I like to wear a lot of powder as an oily person, and especially with a full coverage look like this, you want to really set the foundation in place. This feels so nice. It's like a fluffier version of the Real Techniques powder brush. That one is really big and really dense, so similar kind of size, but this one does move a little bit more. So now I'm going to use the contouring brush with the Charlotte Tilbury Sculpt product. This is tapered, so obviously you can get those angles in, but it's fluffy, so it's not very dense. Some contour brushes I've used are really, really dense, but with this, with powder, you can kind of blend and apply it at the same time. Like, I don't feel I have a harsh line there at all. I'm going to go back into the highlight. I think this is my favourite brush so far. And finally, I'm going to use the blush brush. Not everyone has an apple like that big. Some people's faces are much smaller and this will just be too overpowering for their cheek. But those people could just use the contouring brush. Really, really like this brush as well. Again, this one is dense but really soft. And if this was too big for blusher, you could totally use this for bronzer. So I've just thrown on some lashes and lippy. So the flat shader brush, unfortunately, is not my favourite. It's probably my least favourite of the whole set. It just didn't pick enough product up for me. I just felt like the other eye brushes picked up much more product. However, all of the other eye brushes I really like. I've already used the blending brush and I knew I would like that one. This one is really nice. Really impressed by the crease brush. This picks up so much product and it really targets it exactly where you want it to go. And the pencil brush. This is the best pencil brush I have tried because it's actually like a pencil. Some pencil brushes are just really fluffy and you just can't really target product with them, whereas this is so pointy. The liner brush, I did struggle with this. I did like how finely it applied the liner across the lid. Across the lash line, I felt like I could get really close. It was initially good for like a nice straight out wing, but I feel like if you're not going to get it right the first time, once you've got the product on, it's really hard to correct. But I will definitely be trying this again. as it might just be because I'm not used to using this kind of brush that I need a bit more practice with it. I did want to say quickly, there is an angled detailer, and I didn't end up using this because I just feel like it's your standard angled brush. They're all pretty much the same, but I know I'm going to get loads of use out of this because these are so versatile. You can do brows, eyeshadow, winged eyeliner, you can do loads of them. Again, there is a lip brush too that I didn't use because I generally just apply my own lipstick straight from the bullet, but I wanted to mention this because it's a retractable one. So it goes back in on itself and you can put this little thing in your handbag, and that's really handy if you like using a lip brush. Really, really impressed with the foundation brush. I honestly thought I wouldn't like this because I just saw it and thought that's way too small for me, but the coverage it gives and the control it gives I really, really like. Not a huge fan of the stippling brush, but I feel like this is personal preference because I know some people swear by these, so you may find you love this, so don't completely discount this brush if you end up buying this set, because all the other brushes are amazing apart from a couple, and you probably will like this and find a use for it. It's just me being extra fussy with the shape and style of my brushes. The powder brush, amazing, really nice and fluffy, very similar to the Real Techniques. The blush brush is kind of a mini version of the powder brush. They're pretty much exactly the same shape, and I really like the blush brush. Packs on the product, but has that nice movement to it, so it really blends as it goes. And my favourite of the kit, I have to say, is the contouring brush. I honestly didn't think I would love this brush as much as I do. Like you saw, like I didn't even have to blend my contour in, which is unheard of with any other contour product. Overall, I think the set is well worth the money for the quality and the amount of brushes you get. I do think you can get a full, really nice look with this, with the exception of maybe a buffing brush. I still feel like you can get a full look with this set, and I feel like every brush has a good use. It just came down to it that a couple of the brushes were not great for me. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up to let me know if you did like it, and please subscribe because I post 3 times a week, all sorts of beauty and lifestyle stuff, so definitely check back for my next one, and I will see you then. Bye!